turf that came from France, and yet this place absolutely pristine. Despite the big offensive results yesterday, the reviews of the facility were sterling by everybody from the fan base to the players. Buster, how does this place play, I wonder, after we saw 30 runs last night?
Well, Matt, on Saturday, the offensive numbers are crazy. 422 pitches among 16 pitchers, 16 extra base hits. You mentioned the 30 runs. It got so bad that during the game, CC Sabathia, the veteran starter for the Yankees, went to Aaron Boone and volunteered to pitch out the bullpen today. And initially, Aaron Boone said, no, don't worry about it. And then after the game, he said, yeah, I might be able to use you. There is a working theory among both pitching staffs that because of the air here in London Stadium, that breaking balls are not as effective as they normally are. It'll be very interesting to see how those affect choices by pitchers and catchers today. Could be another big day for the offense.
Yeah, with a tip of the cap to the great director Oliver Stone, we will float some scandal theories of our own as to why the ball's flying around the way it is. The dimensions are pretty standard, with the exception of the shorter center field, 385. But the thought was that the foul territory, which would rank as the most in Major League Baseball if this were an everyday facility, would take away and give back to the pitchers. We didn't really see that play a role last night, Alex. This was all about the lineups.
Usually when you come up as a pitcher, they tell you keep the ball in the big part of the field, right up the middle. This is not the case here in London.
Right to the Yankees starting lineup: LeMahieu, Judge, and Hicks, Sanchez, Encarnacion, and Gregorius, Torres, Urshela, and Gardner. A lineup that scored a season-high run total yesterday. 17 runs for the Yankees on 19 hits. And we'll see if that kind of damage continues here this afternoon. It'll be the responsibility of Eduardo Rodriguez to try to curtail that trend. His 8 wins leads the Red Sox staff, and in his last 14, Boston has won 12 of Erod's last starts.
Yeah, man, he's a fastball, slider, changeup guy. Early on, he was a rock thrower, meaning 80 or 90% fastballs, very predictable. Not the case, and when he does well, he'll ride the fastball up top and changeup blown away and slider into the righties.
The hottest hitter in this or any other country is DJ LeMahieu. He leads things off for the Yankees. He's reached base safely in 22 of his last 31 plate appearances, and he's got plenty of support from a Yankee crowd that has traveled across the pond, as they say. You'll see plenty of Red Sox and Yankees colors amidst the 60,000 paid at the ballpark this afternoon.
It's been amazing, especially just walking around the stadium, seeing all the different jerseys. I see soccer jerseys, I saw a Cubs jersey. I mean, everyone's breaking out anything they can find. Just sports fans. It's a Cubs fan. They're getting ready for next year.
That's right, the Cubs and Cardinals playing in the second London series, which will take place a little earlier in the month of June next year. Next pitch from Rodriguez is a big swing and a miss, and it's 2-2. And the ever-present Met fan.
They're everywhere.
One in every crowd. Yeah, the turnout has been terrific, and you see so many American baseball fans sightseeing around London these days. A swing and a miss. And this one starts out in a little different manner than last night's game.
And a good sign there for Rodriguez early on. Strike one, starting him and ending him with a fastball. Again, this time, top part of the zone at 94. And that ball has some hair, some real cheese. Something you don't see often. LeMahieu swinging through a fastball in the strike zone.
Well, guys, I think we're going to see a lot more fastballs in today's game, because that's what we were told was yesterday. A lot of the breaking pitches, a lot of the off-speed pitches just weren't getting that same bite.
Here's Aaron Judge. He hit one of the 3 Yankee homers yesterday. A 2-for-4 game for Judge last night.
I know, Matty, you'll get into the conspiracy theories of what you think the ball is lacking or not. But early on for Rodriguez, it always starts with a fastball, strike one, well located, and then go from there. Again, Aaron Judge, 0-2 with back-to-back sinking fastballs.
Judge has never had a hit against Eduardo Rodriguez in regular season play, and there aren't too many AL East starters that can claim to have contained Aaron Judge in as many as 10 plate appearances. No balls and 2 strikes, the count to Judge. So yesterday, I think it was a lot of fun to be here to watch and see how the crowd reacted to the game. Because again, brand new sport for the locals in most cases. And the game started with such a pace yesterday, right? With all the runs and the action that folks never had a chance to kind of settle in and take in the subtleties of baseball as much.
Yeah, it was a hitting game from the get-go. 7-6 after the first inning.
2 balls and 2 strikes, the count to Judge. And a called strike 3. Back-to-back strikeouts open this one.
Cántalo mañana.
And Rodriguez looking like the old Rodriguez, throwing a bunch of fastballs. Here's some cheese in, a bit off the plate. But 3-year veteran umpire Carlos Torres, he liked it. Too close to take, and a good sign again for Rodriguez. Assertive, throwing his fastball with a lot of conviction.
Two gone, bases empty for the switch-hitting center fielder Aaron Hicks, who also homered in last night's opener. Aaron Hicks held the distinction of having hit the first home run in a regular season big league game on this continent yesterday. And it came on the heels of really being cold. Hicks was 0 for 20 leading into that homer, so he'll be among those rallying for the Yankees to come back to London as often as possible in the future.
Matty, speaking of cold, you know, Hicks is a scratch golfer. And one of the things he does when he's cold is he'll go to the range and hit some balls from the right side because he's a switch hitter. And he says that helps him with his alignment and sitting taller at the plate. So maybe he found a range here in London.
At the driving range on your way to the stadium. Let's take you back to yesterday. He had never had any success against Rick Porcello. That was until that swing. Part of a first inning for Rick Porcello that he just as soon forget. He was unable to get out of the inning. 6-0 Yankees as folks were still getting off the tube, as they say. And a broken bat, base hit back up the middle.
There's a change of 90 miles an hour, broken bat, but it died a winner. You never like to lose a bat, but if you get a base hit, well, that's okay.
So much of the damage yesterday by both lineups came with 2 out in an inning. Each team scored 10 2-out runs yesterday. Wow. And on a night when the Yankees played at 17 runs on 19 hits, if I had told you, Alex, before the game that Gary Sanchez would be 0 for 4, you'd say no chance.
Manny, not only that, I asked him that same question. I said, how you doing today, big guy? I talked to him in the clubhouse, and he goes, can you believe this? We scored 17 runs, and I'm the only guy that gets a walk, and I go 0 for 4. I want some damage today before I get back to America.
One of the 2 Yankees will be starting the All-Star game next month, just a couple of weeks from now, in Cleveland. He and DJ LeMahieu both voted in by fans as starters on the American League side, and he takes a strike.
And Manny was not even 3-4 hours before the game. He was in full sweat, working hard. Is the new Gary Sanchez. You know, for a lot of people, he sounds like he's been around for 100 years, almost a journeyman. Gary Sanchez is only 26 years old, and he is a superstar, and I've always said he is the best hitter in this Yankees lineup, especially against great pitching.
Well, I think the combination that this lineup has, too, because you have Gary Sanchez and who you talked about on the top and DJ LeMahieu. I mean, there's a nice combination of power guys that really have the ability to go 0 for 4 in a night, and their offense can still produce 17 runs. Why? Because they have contact guys now, too.
Edwin Encarnacion waiting on deck for New York. A 2-out base runner aboard here in the top of the first. Well, in terms of the big picture for the Yankees, off to such a terrific start this year. They've homered in 30 straight ball games, a major league team home run record, 56 total homers during that stretch. Adding Edwin Encarnacion on June 15th was certainly a help. 14 different players have contributed into that 30 consecutive game stretch with a homer. Full count now.
That's the pitch. Eduardo Rodriguez, his best pitch is that changeup. And guys, he's really been setting in inside with the fastball to set this pitch up to the righties, just falling off the table. Starts at the knees, ends up in the dirt. Fooling Gary Sanchez.
That's one, if you're on the bench, you foul that away, you make a little mental note and come back to it. By throwing the 3-1 changeup, it allows him to throw the 3-2 fastball here and beat Sanchez.
With 2 out, Hicks will be off and running at first base. The full count pitch, and Sanchez sends a fly ball out to center. The glare that everybody was afraid of earlier today has not appeared, with some gracious cloud cover as Jackie Bradley Jr. just threw a touchdown pass to Mookie Betts. Yeah, they're playing ball in sacred ground here in London, or close to it. Underway at London Stadium.
Called third strike. Verlander moves into 21st on the all-time strikeout list. Move over Cy Young as JV now with 2,807 career strikeouts.
And he swings and drives one left center field deep. Hernandez back at the wall. Goodbye. Home run, Steve Pearce.
High fly ball into left. Back at the wall. He's got another. How about Steve Pearce? Out on the run is Larry Otto, and he makes the catch. An amazing catch. Sails a throw back to first base, and this is a tie on the fly from Ramon Laureano.
And the pitch on the way. Lodi drives one in the air. Deep center field. Back goes Taylor. It's got a chance. It's a grand slam. A grand slam for David Bodie. And the Cubs have won the ball game.
Jimenez, a towering fly ball to center field. Mount Eloy erupts for the first time.
Deep left field once again. No chance. He did it one more time.
Oh my gosh, he's done it for the third time tonight. Derek Dietrich. He can't even believe it. His mom and dad are here, blows him a kiss in the stands. That is absolutely...
Welcome back to London. A scoreless start to the game, as I think the Brits are saying, wait a minute, that inning was far too quick. That's not the way it's supposed to go. Let's get right to the Red Sox starting lineup in Game 2 of the London series. Betts, Devers, and Bogarts lead things off. Two-time All-Star J.D. Martinez has hit safely in 3 in a row. He bats cleanup. Michael Chavis hit a pair of 3-run homers yesterday. He was the big slugger for the Red Sox in Game 1. Vasquez, Bradley, Nunez, and Sam Travis round things out for the Boston Red Sox. It's been quite an interesting last, I'd say, 12 hours for 26-year-old Stephen Tarpley on the mound. He was called up during the week from AAA, and after yesterday's crazy turn of events, the Red Sox kind of wondered who they were going to face today. And I think Aaron Boone and the Yankees wondered the same thing. Who are we going to put out there? And at about midnight, Aaron Boone called Tarpley and said, hey, how about it? You want to start? And he said, sure.
Sure.
And here he is making his first ever Major League start.
Why not in London? Why not? And he's coming off his 2 best appearances, his last 2. Yankees have been really impressed with the stuff that he has. Only 1 hit in those last 2 appearances, 4 Ks. And he's almost 50% slider fastball. As I mentioned before, though, I think we're going to see more fastball today from both teams.
You know, if you're Stephen Tarpley, I guess there's a number of ways to look at it as he starts 2-0 to Mookie Betts. You either grip up knowing that this is your first ever Major League start and there's a huge audience watching you, or you think, man, I'm playing with house money.
Yeah.
because I was the only option that could go in this one, so I'm just going to let it eat.
Not only let it eat, but very rarely do you have a start that if you go 2 solid innings, they say it's a solid start. So he might as well just let it fly early. If they get 1 time through the lineup, they'll be thrilled.
I mean, the fact that Aaron Boone said if he can get it through the lineup 1 time, that'll be a win.
They're not quite the bleacher creatures from the Bronx, but I think they're trying to do a roll call.
Yeah, you can hear them.
Betts with a ground ball for Gregorius through the quick infield turf, and there's 1 away. Red Sox and Yankees will go back home as soon as this one's over. Travel day was not that big a deal when you consider it was a little longer than flying to the West Coast, but from Yankee Stadium and Fenway Park across the pond, if you will, about 3,500 miles.
So cool.
Destination London Stadium.
Here we are.
Matty, Jess, I was here in November, and I stood right in the middle of this field, and it is epic. It's gorgeous, but you can tell it's a soccer field. And I said, how in the world is Major League Baseball going to get this to look like a baseball field? Not only did they do it, it looks epic.
It does.
Fabulous job.
1-1 the count to Rafael Devers, who is the hottest Red Sox bat at the start of play today. 9 for his last 13 after a couple of hits and an RBI yesterday. Yeah, the reviews, to your point, on the facility and the surface, Alex, have all been very good. Kind of similar takeaway on both sides. Infielders thought it was a little fast, and that makes sense. It's a brand new surface.
Yeah.
I think the big challenge today, the sun is going to affect both the offense and the defense. You can see in that view right there that the shadows are starting to come into play. Fly balls to center are something to watch. Both center fields, I would not be surprised if you lose a ball today in a fly ball to center or left center.
Even balls coming in from the outfield. Watch infielders kind of have a hard time reading them.
Devers with a little fly ball out to shallow right. Torres from second, and it drops into no man's land.
And again, you had 3 players in Hicks, Judge, and Torres. None of them got a good jump on it. You'll see this, and you'll see the hesitation right off the bat from Torres. It is tough to see. We call this a high sky. And there's just some uncertainty there, Jess. You see that?
It's not, and that's Aaron Hicks' ball all the way. Hicks or Judge, there's no way that Torres ever had a shot, even if he gets a perfect jump. I mean, he's almost out in center field. But if you go back to the replay, even Hicks had a beat before he broke on that, and then he broke slow to try to see it. I spoke to Aaron Hicks right before, and Alex, you mentioned it. He said, I cannot see the ball immediately off the bat. That was the reaction there.
Scary and lonely feeling. I've been there many times.
So 1 out, 1 on now for the shortstop, Xander Bogaerts. And had it not been for the hot stretch of Rafael Devers, we'd be calling Bogaerts the hottest Red Sox bat. He's hit safely in 4 in a row. Leads the American League in doubles and extra base hits.
And he has been there steady. I mean, yes, Devers has been the hot bat, but I mean, really, Xander Bogaerts, every game he's posting up. I mean, he is making a difference in their offense in some way. They haven't had the wins, but they have had the consistency from Xander Bogaerts from day 1 this season.
Underrated and underappreciated, certainly not by the Red Sox fans. He's loved there. But when you think about it, Bogaerts and Devers both #1 in WAR at their position. Neither going to the Midsummer Classic. They still have an outside shot to make it, but as if it started today, they would not be heading to the All-Star.
We'll learn the rest of the reserve players and the rest of the All-Star rosters. In fact, coming up later on today on ESPN, exclusive AL and NL All-Star Game roster announcements. Boy, as soon as we clear this weekend, I mean, the All-Star Game's the next thing on the calendar, July 9th in Cleveland.
Talking Alex Cora, man. I mean, he's going through just his week, you know, what he's got to do, because he will be the manager there in Cleveland for the All-Star Game. They head to Toronto from here. Then they have a continued road trip, and he'll go straight to Cleveland. So this entire packing for the last week heading into this next week is a pretty long road trip that ends in Cleveland with the All-Star Game.
Yeah, it's a busy time for both sides because the Yankees have the interleague series with the Mets on the other side of town as soon as they get back from London. 2-1 pitch. Sent to the opposite field and well hit. Judge back, drifting, looking, and it's gone.
This is why Xander Bogaerts has been so consistent all season long. I mean, this is a backdoor slider, and to be able to hit this pitch, I mean, you have to wait and understand, one, the velocity difference, but also wait for the break to get to your bat. And Xander Bogaerts has been able to hit to all fields. You hear that all the time, but to hit that backdoor slider opposite field for a home run, not just a base hit, gives you a little insight into how good Xander is swinging it right now.
2-0 Boston, the home side, and this is considered a Red Sox home game, has struck first in Game 2. Here's J.D. Martinez now. You know, as that homer came on a slider, I think it's interesting, and I think back to what Aaron Boone told us before the game today. After this weekend, they'll get a lot of information, a lot of data about how the ball played, about how how certain pitches were responded to, the action in this series, and maybe we can come to something closer to a conclusion. Oh, Martinez has just gone back to back for Boston.
And J.D. Martinez, this time is the fastball, Jessica, 92 miles an hour away with a little fade. And this is the dream come true here. This is what the Red Sox fans have come accustomed to when it comes to J.D. Martinez. That beautiful stroke, opposite field power. And that's just a veteran hitter saying both last hits were sliders. Let me hit on a fastball. He sat on it, and he delivered.
3-0 Red Sox now for Michael Chavis. Number 18 for J.D. Martinez. So, was just getting ready to say, if in fact the breaking ball is flat in this ballpark, we'll learn a lot more about it after today.
Oh, with your glove. Little lefty action out in right field. I love it. And this is what's so cool, you guys, is even watching yesterday, how excited fans get. And you got to understand, at least 70% of the fans here are from Europe, at least, okay? And normally, if you're watching cricket, if you're watching any other sport, you give the ball back. But there's something so unique, and they've made so many announcements to fans saying, if there is a foul ball, if there's a home run, you get to keep it.
High fly ball off the bat of Michael Chavis. Gardner fighting the sun for route number 2.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter what continent, what country. Catching a foul ball is an international, really good feeling. And if you've never done it, it's like winning the lottery. Think about it, 60,000 people here.
Yeah.
And if you're the one lucky fan, and if you're a little boy or a little girl, man, what a feeling.
How about the one fan that had the glove in that whole group is the one that gets to catch the home run? That's so cool. And a Boston fan to boot.
So here's the catcher, Christian Vasquez now. See that shot? Did you see the unusual shadow on the field at this hour? And that's going to change throughout the day.
Well, the sun's out of the clouds now, Maddie. You pointed out when it was behind the clouds, the glare was gone that we saw yesterday. Just a reflection off of Brett Gardner's face. Routine foul ball to left, and he's holding his glove up for dear life, trying to block that sun. The glare is real out there.
And Vasquez to the opposite field. Judge back on this one, and this one is gone. Oh, man. Picking up right where they left off yesterday.
Qué hermosa pelota. Están dando durísimo ese pitch.
3 first-inning homers for the Red Sox.
And again, the home run to J.D. Martinez, 92 miles an hour. This one, 91. Almost carbon copy on a tee. Fastball fading away. And the home run, a base hit stroke and a home run result. A beautiful thing to watch.
Just missed by Aaron Judge. He had it timed up well, going back. The biggest thing, too, so far with Stephen Tarpley early in this game, hasn't really established, Alex, anything inside of these righties. And they are sitting, like you said, on a tee for everything away.
That's exactly right. He has not thrown one pitch. He hasn't moved the hitters. They're very comfortable up there. And anytime you have right-handed hitters, especially facing the lefty, you can lean out over the plate. You're going to feast on that type of pitching. You know, all of this started with a very simple base hit by Devers, and that's why making contact is so important. Good things happen when you put the ball in play.
Jackie Bradley Jr. now. Well, it kind of reminds you of how the top of the first inning started yesterday. A foul pop that Michael Chavis was unable to make a play on, and then the floodgates were open. And here today, Gleyber Torres goes out to try to chase down a little pop that turns into a base hit. 3 homers later, and Boston has a first inning lead. There's a chip shot for LeMahieu, and that will put the first inning to bed. Not before more long ball damage in London. Bogarts and Martinez go back-to-back. Vasquez gets one. And after only an inning, it's 4-0 Red Sox.
Driven out to right field and deep. Going back, Ben's turn, looking, see ya! A grand slam! Yankees lead 5-3.
Gardner comes up huge for the Yankees.
Deep left field. Hunter Renfroe's 3rd home run of the game is going to give the Padres a 15-11 lead. The miracle in Denver is almost complete. Hunter Renfroe with a trifecta. He's just keeping the ball away from Bohr the whole game. He wants to get it. There, ball.
Behind the back flip, and he got him! Oh, wow!
Oh, my gosh.
Mariano's now going back, and it is. He caught it! He fires it back in. The throw to second base, and maybe the greatest double play you've ever seen.
Hammers one. Deep right field. Gone, and the cycle for Jake Bowers. He's the first for the Indians in 3 years to hit for the cycle.
1-2 to count. Got him! A career high 15 strikeouts for Justin Verlander. All swinging strikeouts tonight. 7th inning stretch time. Tied at 3.
In the air to deep left field for Tatis Jr. His first home run of the majors is a 2-run blast. There's contact, and then there's that. Many sites the Red Sox and Yankees have visited this week. The Tower Bridge here in London crossed by over 40,000 people a day. And Buckingham Palace, of course, the official London residence of the monarchy since 1837. Queen Victoria, the first monarch to establish residency there. Only 775 rooms at Buckingham Palace.
Only. They downgraded then. Can't fit all your friends.
Hey, don't forget, Sunday night baseball, because we're on in the wee hours of the morning back in the States. It's still coming up later on. Dave Fleming, Eduardo Perez, and Tim Kirkjian have the Braves and Mets A great matchup there. Max Fried and Noah Syndergaard. It all starts at 6 Eastern with baseball tonight. And then the Braves and Mets follow at 7 Eastern time tonight on ESPN. Back with Alex Rodriguez, Jessica Mendoza, Matt Vasgersian, Buster Olney with us as well as Edwin Encarnacion leads things off in the Yankee half of the second. A 4-0 Boston lead. Encarnacion, Gregorius, and Torres for the Yankees. And Edwin was one of the few Yankee hitters not to particularly enjoy his first night of UK baseball. Struck out 5 times yesterday.
Mixed in a little hit.